Yeah, let's do 2.
2 groups of 7. And then as people straggle in, we can toss them into the different groups. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Nope, you're right. 2 groups is sounding much better. All right. Well, I can just split people down the middle of my screen here. Oh, wait, but now I've got the bottom rows all messed up.
It would be good to have some department representation from each department.
Who here is not a ranger?
I figured guardians would need to be represented, so.
Okay. Purple's technically not a ranger. I'm kind of just in this to learn from. Okay,
so you don't necessarily identify with a particular department?
Correct.
Okay.
Purple, what do you do normally at events?
So I have been to 3 regionals and 1 big burn, all in 2019. I kind of overachieved my first year. I went to Bequinox was my first regional. I worked gate and greeters. At Saguaro Man, I didn't volunteer. At Sunburn, I volunteered and I did medical and I did gate and greeters. And then at Burning Man, I did did greeters. Sorry. Okay. So I've primarily done greeters, but I'm really open to anything since it's still kind of new to me. I was approached by many rangers at lots of the regionals and said, hey, you'd be a great ranger because I do search and rescue as my other volunteer for fun gig. I've been a field coordinator for 10 years, so very familiar with ICS and all of that procedures and stuff. So
excellent.
Okay. And do you have first aid training then also?
Yeah, I have CPR, BLS certifications. I've also taken a WFR class, Wilderness First Responder class. Yeah.
Okay, so green dot.
Yeah.
No, blue dot.
We have at least Cane Toad's a green dot. Chairman's a green dot. I don't know who else is.
It's early. Green dot is sanctuary training, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah, not me.
It's sanctuary training, but not in sanctuary because I can't do sanctuary because I can't sit still in one place for that long. It's in the field.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did sanctuary training as well, but have a hard time just staying at one place.
Gotcha. Okay.
If you need somebody to do that, I can do that. Whenever I worked medical, we had to stay in the little, at Sunburn, we had to stay in the little area that was required during our entire shift, and it was an overnight shift, so it was.
Okay, I guess let me ask this. Who here could do medical?
I'm going to do basic.
Okay, yeah, I mean, even like basic first aid.
Yeah.
Okay, Amoeba says, okay, so Amoeba and Purple can both be medical.
I can.
And Nikolai too? Okay, wonderful.
And Raph?
Okay, I should start writing this down.
Yeah. Okay, so nobody here on the call right now is in the medical department at their burn, right? But they're willing to fill in and apply direct pressure until their people get there? Is that what we're hearing?
I'm medical department.
Okay.
So Firefly is...
I don't know if you're having me facilitate or not.
Okay.
I do medical stuff through street medicing.
Mm-hmm.
Who's talking?
Nikolai.
Okay.
Okay. And Purple. And Amoeba.
I'm more technical, but I was a lifeguard and I'm also currently CPR certified.
Okay.
And Raph, I was a lifeguard, advanced life-saving instruction. I was an Eagle Scout, so I've got a lot of first aid, done a lot of stuff.
Okay.
I think Amoeba said also street medicine.
Cool.
Okay, so what we're trying to figure out is when we're playing scenarios, are you wanting to be in the role of a medical person, doing a medical shift, or are you wanting to do a ranger shift with some medical background until the real medic people show up with gear? That's kind of what we're looking at.
If you want me to start as a medic, I can do that. And then I can switch out to a ranger later on. And I've been a ranger twice at Loveburn, and I've done some khaki work too.
Okay.
During this weekend, Apple, we've only had about a handful of people from a medical department.
That's what I figured. Those people are like actually getting paid to work this weekend instead of showing up and volunteering.
Right.
And there's a lot of street medics doing protest work this weekend.
Yeah.
For real.
You'd rather us put what we want to do in the chat or say it out loud?
Oh my gosh, that would be logical.
Yeah, you can put it in the chat and then we'll remember, because I'm already forgetting who said they can do sanctuary.
Yeah, so put the main role you want to play in like normal letters, but then in parentheses, if you have other skills that you want to like throw in as a backup until that department gets there, that's fine. Then put those in the parentheses. So does that make sense?
Yes.
So I have a dumb question. What does sanctuary do?
That's not a dumb question at all. Not at all. So sanctuary, they're kind of, there's a good definition.
They're basically the mental health people. So a lot of them are trained counselors, psychologists, but mostly they're there for if people are in a bad headspace, they're there to help them out.
Okay. So is that somebody who's usually on scene, or they're usually like in the medic tent or something?
They've got their own place, and because sometimes people just need to lie down for a minute.
Okay.
Just somebody to listen. Like a lot of what they do is just like listening skills, like she said, sometimes people have a bad day and you just, need to talk about it.
Okay.
So on our normal safety side where we camped out, we usually had an intro from someone from every department to say a little something about each department. And then that's how you would learn about sanctuary. Mm-hmm. And then we would have breakouts where you could go and sit in on one of their conversations where they would open it up to, say, a firefighter could go to a sanctuary and see, learn a little bit more about what they do. We've always wanted everybody to understand each other's role at the event. And just for a little context, past long time ago, this sanctuary was a secret location. And we somehow marshaled people to that secret location so they could go chill. And now it's not a secret location. It's a established space. And at Flipside, it's adjacent to the headquarters. So we have all our headquarter resources in one place for all our safety teams. And they have a spot there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is anybody able to do fire? Basically, it's okay if we don't have every role filled, because part of what our dungeon masters can do is play the part of the whatever we don't have. But if that is something you would prefer to do, then we will definitely put you in that. Okay.
I guess I'll be your de facto fire if you don't have anybody.
Okay, thank you, Sparky. All right. Safety Cowboy, would you prefer Rangers?
I prefer Ranger. I don't really have any medical or other auxiliary training.
Okay.
I'm trying to follow up with Ivory right now. She does have medical training, so I'm trying to figure out if she wants to be Ranger or medic.
Okay.
Hey, Hard Knocks, send us a quick chat to tell us what role you would prefer to play in the role play. Which hat do you want to wear? Besides a fedora. Get the fancy Ranger there.
Nathan, were you wanting to do
She'd
Ranger?
probably take over as a medic anyway.
I can't tell what that is. Okay, gotcha.
Are you going to participate in exercises? Yes. Are you going to be a medic?
That's what I'm good at. Medic or a Ranger.
Okay.
Right, I don't see Cane Toad in the chat. Cane Toad, oh, there you are. Welfare, okay, what role do you want to play? Do you want to be Welfare Sanctuary, or do you want?
I'm normally Ranger in the field, but whatever you want to throw me at, I'm completely happy.
In field of Ranger, okay.
Dusty Green.
We need dice.
No. We have dice. We're fine. All right. Geo, do you feel ready to assign people?
I think so. Okay, so Quickfinger, I would like you to be the DM for Team A. Let's see. And for your Rangers, let's take Rooster, Safety Cowboy, and Ivory for your Rangers. And then for medical, let's see, take Amoeba and Nikolai. For Sanctuary, take Purple. For Actual, take Mumbles. And for Guardians, take Odin.
I actually didn't write any Guardian roles into the scenarios this year, because we didn't have a whole lot on shift last time, it seemed like, so.
Yeah, that's fine. You can just switch me to a medical or I guess actual or Rangers. I mean, I've done it all. Right? Pop me in one of those if you need to, Geo.
Yeah, he's pretty flexible. We can throw him in wherever.
Okay, I just don't have any specific write-in roles for Guardians.
Guardians is real hard to do virtual.
I know.
That's true. Yeah, actually, Odin, I think I'm going to put you on Team B to do, and you can do actual for Team B.
Will do.
Okay, so let's do that. Okay. Apple, do you want to be DM for Team B?
Sure.
Okay.
I missed that. Where's the phone going?
I'm sorry? Quick finger, say again.
Where's Odin going?
Where's who going?
Odin.
Oh, Odin is going to Team B. So Apple's got Odin, and then for Rangers, we'll have Hard Knocks and Cane Toad. Brewster's on Team A, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll have those two for Rangers.
Medic.
For medical, let's do Firefly.
RAF or Ivory?
Oh, Firefly and RAF. Because Ivory's on Team A.
Okay.
And then Sanctuary, Ocean Pearl, did I assign you? Or
not yet.
Okay. For Sanctuary, let's do Ocean Pearl. Because Purple I put on Team A, right?
Yes.
Okay, good deal. Okay, anybody that I did not assign?
Sparky.
Sparky, which group would you like to do?
You don't have to assign me if you don't need
Yeah,
to.
I mean, if you want to, I mean, Sparky and Chairman, you guys can sit in wherever you would like. Nikolai, did I assign you?
Yep.
Okay. Nathan, did I assign you?
I don't think so.
Okay. Nathan, go be Ranger at Team B.
Copy that.
Awesome. Okay, so everybody's got a team? Okay. Let me, I put the Zello channels in the schedule, but let me just paste them here to be easy. So there's that. And if you're doing it on your phone and you have Zello pulled up, you can just type in the channel. What is it? I think it's ICS. Hold on. If you just want to search it, it's ICS Scenarios Team A or ICS Scenarios Team B. Okay, it is 10:22. All right. Let's run. Let's go ahead and run scenario number 1.
Okay, so I want to give a little bit of briefing about the way that these are written. What our goal is in these scenarios is not to do a bunch of role-playing character. Oh my gosh, this is happening, and this is not a okay. Now we're pretending we're really on the playa, and there's all this crazy oonce and bullshit and crap and distractions and stuff. This is us making sure that we are comfortable in a safe place, working through our steps of the ICS stuff that we know that either we've been learning all weekend or we've been doing for years. Either way, our priorities. Every time we want to make sure that you're recognizing what the hazards are. Your first step always needs to be scene safety. Assess the scene safety. Is my scene safe? Anytime during this, you can say, timeout, DM, is my scene safe? Right? And then that is a good prompt for the DM to say, oh, and then you do notice this thing about like a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, you can stop and ask questions.
Yeah. So you can always stop and ask questions because if you've done much Dungeons and Dragons type stuff, you know that there's all these things that me has thought of and hopes you're going to ask about, right? So you can't see what's really going on. So you're in the dark, you're a blind person and trying to figure out you're seeing, you're asking questions and trying to figure this out. And so as we go through this, we're gonna give a few pieces of information. You know, 2 volunteers walk into a bar. They see this happens, and then we'll say, stop, scene stop, what needs to happen? And that's your prompt, that's your timeout, where you talk with your partner and you say, okay, well, we want to figure out what's going on. You're gonna go through your safety dance steps of, is my scene safe? What's going on? Do they really need our help? What needs to happen? What do we have? What do we need? And who do I call? When I call in for khaki, I need what resources or people or whatever, at what location and why. And also, last thing you want to make sure you do before you get off the phone with khaki is say who has command, because I'm sure you already talked about when you're engaging in a situation, if you and your partner, one person's going to be playing command and one person's going to be playing operations. Operations is the person who's getting their hands dirty with blood or guts or whatever, or talking to the distraught person or whatever. Command is stepped back, is monitoring the radio, telling khaki what is needed, and making sure the scene stays safe for the person who's in getting their hands dirty, right? And command is keeping an eye on the plan. They're keeping an eye on the clock, how much time has gone by since all of this started, and so on and so forth. And keep in touch with, hey, khaki, I still haven't got my fire team that I requested here. What's going on, and so forth. So you go through and you do your safety dance, and then at the end of that time of your discussion, you say, okay, we're ready to go. And then the DM will go ahead and go back in. We also want to make sure that you're thinking about whether any of your scenarios that you come on contain any must report scenarios. So must reports are absent child, found child, child or elder abuse, domestic violence, sexual assault, non-consensual physical violence, medical emergency, where we define that usually as unconscious, severe bleeding, or trouble breathing, a psychiatric emergency, including suicide, etc., non-consensual grave danger, anything that could really probably get somebody killed here, or a volunteer in harm's way. And so each of your events will have a different set of those must reports that maybe you always have to report something else. But think about your must reports, and when you're coming on these scenarios, many of them may have one or several. So think about your must reports. And so we want to, we're back here with our clipboards, and we're trying to figure out, did they see this as a must report? And so it helps us to hear you acknowledge, okay, so this situation, this is a must report. And we want to hear you talk among yourselves with your partner during those timeouts.
Apple, really quick, some people are hearing this must report list for the very first time. Is there a way we can write this down and post it in the chat?
Yes.
Hey, Gio, I'm trying to use the QR code reader to get onto that Zello channel, and it's not working for me.
I had to copy and paste.
I just posted a link. The other way you can do it is you can do a search for the channel.
Are these basically the same ones as last year? Like the exact same channels?
They are the exact same ones as last year. And I had to, and when I came back to them, they were disconnected, and I had to turn on the little power button to turn them back on.
I lost mine, I guess. I don't have them. I just got the 2021 channel.
Okay. How would you best receive this? Are you using your phone or your computer?
I'm using my phone to try to download the
Zello?
Well, I was looking at my computer at the QR code and trying to do a screenshot of the QR code. And it's not, I didn't know.
The links are also in the Google Doc for the Zello. So I just went into the Google Doc from my phone where I'm doing the Zello chat and just clicked on it and it connected me right away.
Yeah, I would just click on the link. That's probably faster.
I just typed in ICS scenarios team B.
Yes, that works too.
By the little plus sign.
Yeah, you can go into a channel search and just search for the name of the channel.
Okay, so I have posted the list of must reports. If you're from a different area or from Street Medics or whatever, you probably know what your must reports are. So if you see, child abuse, if you see elder abuse, domestic violence, sexual assault, you probably have all of those in your brain. You know what those are.
Yeah, it's still good to see it right there.
Yeah. So our dungeon master is the person who has all the what's really going on. Khaki doesn't usually know what's going on. So Khaki is going to be one of
Khaki usually knows the least. Yeah, Khaki usually knows the least about what's going on because you guys are having to tell Khaki what's going on.
Yeah, because rarely can Khaki actually see the actual scene.
Yeah.
So on each team we've got 3 rangers on each team. So which so
I would say
Ivory, do any of y'all have Khaki experience and want to play Khaki?
Let me back up quick. Is anybody still having trouble getting onto the channels? Because if we're all good,
I'm still having problems. I can't get the password onto the.
Oh, there should not even be a password. I set it up to make.
For Zello, there is a password. For Zello.
For ICS teams, there should not be. Unless I put one on B for some reason.
If you're trying to get into the main ICS channel, that does have a password. It's all
we don't need to be.
It's all lowercase. ICS is fun.
But we're not going into the main Zello channel.
Right. For these, we're going to come to ICS scenarios team A or B.
But there's people in the Safety Side 2021 that are asking for the team channels. So I think that's part of the confusion too.
Okay.
If they're just now setting up their Zello, they on at least both of those and need that password.
Okay. Well, thank you. I didn't realize that was happening.
So to
answer your question, I have that knowledge
for Khaki.
For Khaki.
She can play Khaki for Team A.
So that's Ivory. Yeah. Ivory has Khaki. Space Cowboy, do you have Khaki?
I don't have Khaki experience, no.
Okay. And Rooster, do you want?
Well, I was going to say that I don't have experience playing Khaki or being Khaki, but I did the virtual safety side last year. So if somebody needed to do Khaki, I'm happy to fill that role.
Okay. It looks like Ivory already has a Khaki role on and experience in your team. So it'll be up to Quickfinger to figure out. For Team B, I know Hard Knocks has Khaki experience.
Yeah.
Cane Toad, how about you?
Yeah, not a flip side, but I run the command training at Africa Burn, so yes.
Yes, he does.
Okay. And Nathan?
No, I haven't been Khaki before.
Okay. All right. It looks like we've also added Angela Tangles. What do you do?
And Pixel.
And okay, awesome. So what do you do at your burns? What roles do you play?
I'm sanctuary lead at the burns that I go to.
Pixel. Where is Pixel?
Let's put Pixel
That
on
was
team.
Pixel talking right there.
Yeah.
That was me.
Okay.
Yeah, let's put Pixel on team B with Ocean Pearl.
Okay. What about Tangles?
I'm sorry, I was muted. Medical.
Medical.
I think this is the most medical people we've had for a scenario.
Nice. So, Gio, what team do you want Tangles to be on?
Stuck my hair in my clothes.
Let's see. Tangles, let's put you on team A.
Awesome. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so now everybody should have their teams. And if everybody is able to get on their Zello channels.
We're still waiting on Mumbles to get on. It looks like. And Sparky can't find it either. I posted the links from the Google Docs on there, but I guess those are, that's how I got on.
Yeah, I gotta get DNC.
I'm trying to figure out how
Radio
to.
check, radio check.
All of a sudden, that popped up on my screen.
Okay. That looks like
And
a
I got-
listed.
Yeah,
Is that a list
I
of
got
channels?
scenario team B, but not A.
Did you try on the safety side chat? I posted the one for Team A and Team B. If you scroll up on the chat on Zello.
Radio.
Oh.
That's a radio.
Chat. Why don't
How
I
do you
see
do
it?
chat? Is that what your question?
Yeah, I don't see.
I don't
A.
see a chat.
You have to scroll up a little bit.
Yeah.
So the chat, if you don't know how to do the chat, on the top of whenever you click on the channel you're in, there's a microphone, people, and then a little like text box. That'll open up the chat.
I've noticed that if you have an iPhone and you're doing it on an iPhone, it's a little different. When you go in, you actually have to make it a favorite, or you have to go into the safety side 21 into your chats to look at Team A. Even though that's an added channel and you've added it on an iPhone, that's the way it's been popping up on mine. Or if someone else has said something, it'll pop up automatically, but it's the only time it does.
Either way, make sure to mute your mic while we're doing this.
Yes.
And if you are still not, if you've got the team name coming up, but you're not hearing radio checks yet, you may need to click on the plus sign to go ahead and add it yourself to that channel.
Ah.
Yeah, that took
I
me a
think I
minute.
found it. I'm here.
Okay. All right.
Radio check, radio check.
All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and have everybody muted. Apple, can you unmute yourself? Because I would like to listen to one team while I'm monitoring another team. And then I'll just stay here on the Zoom channel, and if any stragglers come in, I'll assign them to one of y'all's groups. I guess I'll mute myself too.
All right, and so once again, when you're looking at these, when you're doing these scenarios, we want you to do scene safety. We want to have we want to hear you establish command and make your plan. We want to hear you call CACI on your mobile device, your location, the name of the commander, and then request whatever resources you need. You figure out whether you need a safety perimeter, you figure out what else you need to do. You need to, when more teams show up, let CACI know so that CACI's not going well. Whatever happened to them? Did they get kidnapped on the way? Let CACI know that they've arrived. Either the arriving team tells CACI or the command or someone at the scene tells CACI. Preferably the arriving team, as they're coming in the last block, they're saying, CACI, we're coming into the site. We've arrived at the site, whatever. If the person who has command at the site decides that they want or need to hand it off to someone else who has come in, we want to hear you brief the new incoming command, do that transfer of command by radio so that CACI knows who command is at any given time. And everybody listening knows who command is at any given time. Once you get everything settled and the incident is calming down, we want to hear you go through the process of de-escalating. Okay, so this has happened, this has happened, this has happened. I think our plan is good. I think we've achieved all our accomplishments. Is my scene safe? Is everything good? Are we good to go? Okay, so I'm gonna do a head count and make sure all my people are accounted for, because command is responsible for all of those people that have all those volunteers at the scene. So we want to do that head count, PAR, personnel action report, whatever it is, head count. And then releases teams. Okay, Rangers, you can go back to CACI, medical, take your patient, whatever, we're good to go. And then close the incident on the radio. So CACI knows, and everybody listening knows, the incident is now closed. People are given their assignments on writing up their reports if needed. Okay. So usually as we're running these scenarios, we're going to get through most of it and say, okay, we're going to fast forward 20 minutes. The dungeon master is going to say, okay, everything's good. You've checked all the boxes. Let's fast forward. Let's hear some of this practice of command doing that, and then we'll close it. We've got 15 minutes each, and we're already over time for the first scenario. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so we're running late. I'm sure you're all shut up. I'll shut up now. Okay, so if you don't close yourself out of the Zoom meeting, then you are probably going to want to go ahead and mute that so your computer is not still babbling as you're trying to listen to what we're going on here. Okay. So
I think Geo was going to mute us all.
Right, but if you if you're in a scene, if you're playing one of these roles and stuff like that, then you're going to be very confused at what's going on here and what I'm telling you versus what QuickFinger is telling you versus what you're hearing on your computer. Does that make sense?
If you're on Team A, turn down your volume.
Actually, you're going to need to turn down your volume anyway, or else we're going to get lots of echoing.
Oh, that's true.
Whenever you're trying to talk, you're going to hear speaker. So, okay.
We'll figure it out.
Okay, I'm going to leave myself unmuted on there. I'm going to turn my volume way down. Gio, if you need me, start flapping your arms or something. All right, is everyone ready on channel B to start the first scenario?
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Ready?
Hard Knocks ready. Apple, you need to mute your Zoom.
All right, I'm going to assume this is a raise your hand if you're not here kind of situation and that we're mostly all here. For this first scenario, I'm going to assign Hard Knocks as Khaki. We've got Cane Toad and Nathan as a ranger pair. We've got Firefly and RAF as a medical pair. We've got Ocean Pearl and Pixel as a sanctuary pair. And we've got Odin as actual. Is anybody unaccounted for or misaccounted for from that list? Okay, going ahead with the scenario. All right, so we've got a pair of rangers, King Toad and Nathan. You are out on patrol in the city. You're passing by the effigy structure, and you happen to notice a bunch of rowdy people, maybe 8 or 10 people, up on the top floor of the effigy. They're all clustered around a keg, and they've been helping one of their group do a handstand while chugging alcohol. This is also often known as a keg stand. Some other people are standing around watching, but don't seem to be a part of the rowdy group. So now we're going to have a scene stop. What needs to happen? Discuss amongst yourselves.
All right, these people look to be having a little fun. I think there's anything going on. I missed the last message, Nathan. You want to please repeat? Is it just me, or is Nathan's radio traffic audible?
He's inaudible to me as well.
Nathan,
check your microphone.
Nathan, you seem to be still muted for some reason.
Nate, do you have your status set to solo so that you can still hear, but they can't hear you?
You seem to be still muted for some reason.
Nate?
All right, for this scenario, I'm going to go ahead and move RAF instead to be Cane Toad's partner. Nathan, we will figure out something about your radio later. Will that work for everybody? RAF, you good with that?
I don't think there's any confidential danger here. Shall we just hang out and see what happens?
RAF, are you able to transmit? Okay.
RAF, khaki.
All right. Nathan is able to text his responses. So in the chat box, we're going to read aloud what he says so that we can keep moving on.
Nathan, just watch and see what happens. I don't think there's any danger to anyone who's not consenting to have kicks down.
Okay, I see in the chat that Nathan has asked, is my scene safe? So that is a DM question. It does appear safe for you to enter the area, although there is a risk that if the person doing the handstand falls, they could fall all the way to the ground and fall on top of you. Do you need to know any other information? Is there any other information you would like to know about the scene? The participants who are playing with the keg stands do seem pretty inebriated. It has been determined that it does appear safe for you to walk up, so you can you can either take the wide staircase going up to the top, you can take the skinny, like winding staircase up to the top, or you can try to climb up the crazy slide.
Nathan, should we take the scenic route around the outside up to the top? Copy that. We're heading up to the top.
Great. You arrive up at the top just fine, and there's still a few people that are not part of the group that are, you know, talking to them and so forth, but those people are sober. The group is continuing to be rowdy, and you know, they're willing to talk to you if you want to ask them any questions, and they are definitely inebriated.
I'll just introduce myself as Ranger Kato, just have a chat. Hey, how's it going?
Okay, good job engaging the group. After talking to the rowdy people, they tell you that they are having a contest to see who can drink longest while upside down. They've already finished off one keg back at their camp. All right, Goodfellow is reminding everybody to drink water, and some of them do take some drinks of water. Goodfellow reminds them about the possibility of nasty hangovers, and they just laugh because they're hashers and they don't. That's part of their normal routine.
Just going to ask them a general question about why they decide to do the handstands up with the energy.
They reply because it's fun and it's challenging, and they had already been doing keg stands all morning, and they thought it'd be hilarious seeing if anybody was worried about them falling.
And then I would give them a nice lovely chat about it's a bird, they can do whatever they want as long as they don't put anyone else in danger. Just as long as they make sure that there's no risk to anyone else. They'll be fine, it's their bird.
The group is pleased with this answer. They continue doing their keg stands, and they say, great, they offer you drinks. Meanwhile, whoever is doing the keg stand manages to fall off the keg. They don't fall all the way to the ground, but they land on the upper deck of the effigy. They're going to be sitting there, they're hiccuping, and they're holding their ankle. What do you do? What needs to happen?
Nathan, shall we walk down and just check them out and see if they're okay and see what's going on? Cool, head on down and I'll hang out with everyone up here. You've got visibility of Nathan, correct?
Nathan is managing to respond by texts in the chat part of Zillow, so I'm relaying what he's saying. he also is agreeing that you should check out the person.
That I was just asking that this night an incident says of some of this little one.
All right, Nathan asked the participant if they are okay. Really hurts on the ankle, maybe sprained, I don't know, fractured, oh gosh, no, heck no, we're gonna run it off, it'll be fine. But ow, man, there's a lot of swelling, ow. Hard Knocks has asked whether the inebriated participant can really consent to doing these hazardous hazardous grave danger. I think this is Hard Knocks wanting probably to know what's going on, because Khaki has not been informed that any of this is happening yet. The participant who is injured is willing to consent to having the medical come look at the ankle. Nathan has transmitted to Khaki. Khaki, we need medical to the effigy for a sprained ankle. Over.
Nathan, Khaki, we understand you need medical at the effigy for a sprained ankle. Nathan, Khaki, can you tell us something about the participant?
Nathan says, Khaki, the participant looks like it has ankle swelling and states they will believe they will have difficulty walking. Over.
This is Raph from medical. I'm at the effigy. I'm with the participant. I'm wrapping his ankle in gauze and with ice and telling him to stay off it. Raph out. Raph, copy that.
This is your dungeon master. I would like to point out that the fallen participant with the sprained ankle is on top of the effigy and doesn't believe they will be able to walk unsupported.
Raph with medical. I'm helping the participant down from the top of the effigy with help of my other medical and the other rangers. Raph out. Raph, copy that.
Can we request a scene check?
Yes. the scene checks as far as safety. The group of hashers is starting to wander off. They're trying to figure out how to get their keg off of the effigy, and they are considering rolling it down the slide or levering it over the edge. That they haven't figured out how to do that yet. They have not, or carrying it down the stairs. They haven't decided yet.
Also get a screen check. Does medical have transport?
Yes, medical does have a cart at the bottom of the effigy.
Okay, now I will engage the hashers and have a conversation with them about how we can help them get their kick down the stairs without kicking anyone on the way down.
Is the participant able to hobble with the support of 2 people to get down to the cart?
Yes, they are able to do that. All right. In the interest of time, I'm going to move on. And so we want to go ahead and debrief. Were there any other things that we wanted to finish up on this incident before we go to the debrief? All right. So good job on assessing scene safety. I did not hear anybody establish command. It was a little bit difficult with the communications there at the beginning, but I did hear something of a plan other than the command part. Good job on calling khaki, location, name of what you needed, but that would have been a great place to remind yourselves to figure out who had command. One hazard I was kind of hoping you might see was that they had the potential of falling all the way to the ground. And so realistically, that keg standing should have been stopped really quickly, in my opinion. But without being able to see that, it's a little difficult to convey that that risk is there. Overall, I think you did a great job. Any feedback from the rest of the folks on this channel about this incident?
On the radio, we're not supposed to diagnose. So a call for medical from a ranger should have been, there is an ankle injury, and ask for medical on site.
Hey, this is Hard Knocks, and I was hesitant to call medical until I got some details on the participant, as I'm accustomed to when a request comes in for medical, that there's some description of the participant, 20-something male, average weight, maybe.
Medical scene evaluation may be participant age, general body size, description of situation and safety, ankle injury, and ability for mobility. If they could get them to a medical cart, or medical needs to attend to the person without them moving.
All right, that sounds great. Thank you, guys. All right, let's move on to the next scene. Let's see. All right, I'm going to continue with the same teams. Raph, you're still with medical. Nathan and Cane Toad are still on Dirt Ranger duty. Hard Knocks is still on khaki. Ocean Pearl Pixel as Sanctuary, and Odin as Actual.
There was actually a clarification. Originally, the
Apple.
It wasn't clear that the cake standard did not fall 20 feet to the ground. But they said that was clarified here.
Hard Knocks has khaki, if I did not say that. Yes. All right. 2 Rangers are walking down the road. You notice a lot of smoke coming out of the windows of an RV about 20 feet away from you. The door of the RV is open, but there's a
Hey,
curtain
can somebody
across
ask
the
Apple
opening.
to come back to
Someone nearby
this group before she
neighboring
starts
camp,
the next
about 10 feet
scenario?
away from the RV, and they're puttering around doing something or other. They don't seem to be aware of the smoke. Scene stop. What needs to happen?
How often is the effigy finished during the event? Every burn I've been to, the effigy was finished after.
Nathan asks if the smoke smells like fire or something else. You are not close enough at this point to smell any smoke. You just see it,
okay.
but there's a lot of it.
Okay, we're all returning back.
Team B, this is Geo. If y'all have finished with the first scenario, you can come back to the Zoom. I'll debrief about the first scenario.
I posted one question in the chat part.
Copy that, Geo. Okay. The smoke may or may not be doing anything. It is on pause. We can come back to this later in the day if you feel like it, but otherwise, let's all go back to the Zoom meeting. I will put the link in the the chat here if you don't have it already.
Okay, it sounds like both groups have finished with their debrief of the first scenario. So let's come back here just real quick to talk about what happened with y'all's groups.
Yeah, I'd like to add also to Engel's that was involved in actually just bringing in outside sources, people that don't understand.
Oh, sorry, Quick Finger's still talking. Hold on.
Okay, I just didn't know like how much I would say over like a regular radio transmission or yeah, so you know, like a whole bunch of like chickies like trying to go to the gate or trying to see what's going on. Example though, if you were at one of our births during you call out something else and the event coordinator and then together would then call out for ambulance and for them to come on site and then report to us at front gate.
Hey, Team A, this is Geo. The other team is finished with their debrief and is coming back to Zoom. So whenever y'all are done, come on back. All right. Looks like people are starting to trickle back. Apple, why don't you go ahead and start with your group? Let us know what went well and what could have been different. Apple, can you not hear me?
Apple
you're
is
muted.
On the, I hear her on Zello.
Oh, is she on Zello? Okay.
No, Apple's there. She was on mute.
I was on mute, but I'm back now.
Hi. Apple, you want to report out about your group?
We had a lot of problems with getting Zello working the way we wanted to. Nathan was never able to go ahead and transmit in a way that we could hear it. We could see that there was a voice signal transmitting, but we couldn't hear anything. Nathan did adapt very nicely by going to the chat and starting to type what he was wanting to do and say in scene check. So that was great. And I just narrated what he was saying. The scene itself was sized up pretty well. There was a little bit of a lack of who was in command, and part of that may have been due to the issues with the radios not working right. We did have good communication with CACI and with medical, although we did figure out that there was a diagnosis given, and we do try to avoid giving medical diagnoses, especially over the radio, because we are not doctors, and even if we were, that's patient privacy, and so we don't. But overall, I may not have described quite clearly enough that they were doing handstands 20 feet in the air, and maybe that was not the safest kind of activity. So that may have been the dungeon master's fault for not explaining that this really is a fall risk. So overall good.
Okay. Quickfinger, how did your group do?
It went pretty well. I thought there was an interesting, if you caught the tail end of that discussion as we were coming back to Zoom, there's a slightly different processes among different groups, and given that we have such a diverse representation from different burns here, it was interesting that there were some assumptions that we make at safety side that were not obvious to the folks outside the state. They did a great job of assessing the risk. They were not aware that there was heavy equipment available. Again, that was one of those, going to a burn, in Texas, you're used to, the VR is still hanging out over there, not far from the effigy, right? But that's not a common thing. The Rangers did a great job of not diagnosing. If anything, I was concerned they didn't give enough information, because medical was asking, is this an emergency? And Rangers are like, no, just get here when you can, kind of thing. And they didn't really give any indication of what the medic should expect when they arrive on the scene. But overall, it was handled very well. They, called in for additional Rangers for perimeter. They checked to see if the drunks were useful as assistants, and I told them no, they're too drunk to be helpful, but there's some bystanders that might be helpful, but their bystanders are trying to get in the way. So they did a great job with establishing the perimeter and recruiting the volunteers where they could. But again, and nobody tried to pick up the cake by themselves or anything, so that was good.
Good. I also heard a comment or a question about what the weather was like, which I thought was really good, because a lot of us who go to Burning Flipside just sort of automatically assume it's going to be hot, but not everybody's from Burning Flipside, so they didn't necessarily know that. So, and then I think later, as the medics did find out, yes, we're at a burn that's very hot, 100-degree weather, and then they started modifying their treatment to, okay, we need to make sure they're hydrated and do all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was good. Just being, definitely ask those kinds of questions about what the scene is like, and weather is definitely a good one to ask. Okay, so this first one was pretty straightforward, because I just wanted to kind of slide in with an easy one first. So let's see, what time do we have now? Oh, good. Okay, so it's 11:18 now. Let's go ahead. Do you all want to keep the same teams and go into the next one? Oh, well, Apple, you already started. Yeah, let's just keep the same teams then. And you're welcome to rearrange as you see fit, but we'll go ahead and go into scenario 2.
We do have a few new people on the call.
Oh, we do. Okay, yes. So let's assign people.
I also have to head out. So, but our team had 3 on medical anyway, so it's not like okay. But yeah, thank you guys. It was wonderful meeting all y'all.
Thank you, Amoeba. It was nice to meet you too. Okay,
people on Team A we had 2 people with sound issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if we want to if it would be good to rearrange people so that people who are having sound issues could work on their sound and we could get that scenario going.
Okay.
We have more new people.
Okay. Let's see.
I can hop in on this scenario just as a participant, not as a DM or anything. So you have another body.
Okay.
And then are y'all dropping channels into Zello for the new places y'all are communicating, or how do I get whichever Zello channel?
A and B.
Yeah, we're doing ICS scenarios A or B. Let me see who else is here. Nurse Lancelot, would you like to participate in this next one? Let me get.
Nurse Lancelot, you're muted.
Hang on. I'm going to drop the Zello channels in the chat.
So anyone new to the call or to this morning's session, if you would put in the group chat what roles you would like to play in these scenarios, Ranger, Sanctuary, whatever. If you will type your screen name and your role you want to play. So Apple, Rangers, etc.
Okay.
I dropped the Zoom links into the chat.
I did too. Okay. Let's see. Oh, we lost. Do we lose Nurse Lancelot? Because I was just gonna put her in Team A to fill Amoeba's.
Also in the chat, I dropped a little graphic that Sparky had me make this morning, and it's got what is the fivefold path of ICS. This one shouldn't break your eyeballs.
Okay, yeah, I'll take a look at that in just a second. Nurse Lancelot, if you are interested, you can come to Team A because we just lost one of their medics there. Do you see the Zello link on Team A? You can also do a search for ICS Team A. Or I'm sorry, ICS Scenarios Team A. I mean, if
So Nurse Lancelot coming to Team A for medical, and Amoeba is out. Is that correct?
Yes, Amoeba is out, so I was going to put Nurse Lancelot in her place, and on Team A. And then I see Sweeney's not necessarily participating, but wants to listen in. You guys, you're welcome to click on either Team A or Team B.
Gio, do I need to pick up a particular role? I didn't do training in fire this year, but I did it last year, so I don't have to do rangery things, or is that to sort out with my Zelda in there?
We've got the roles filled pretty well.
It would be good to have a fire. Scenario.
Chairman, are you the host?
Am I?
I'm not.
I guess I might be. Oh, so then it's been recording me dicking around with Photoshop. Oh, great.
No, it should be recording the Zoom. But can you mute the person who's making everything echo? There. Okay, we got it figured out.
Copy that, Apple. I'll jump in per normal burn thing of, hey, we have this ranger who did this thing last burn. They're the most qualified person to currently be on shift, because I think that that's, a lot of real things that we run into at burn. So whichever group I'm with, I can be the fire person.
Okay, yeah. So as long as we've got a fire person on each team, because this is a fire scenario. So Sparky,
I'll go on Team B.
Team B, and then okay. So then Blue Bonnet's on Team A as fire. That's what I'm hearing. All right. And Sweeney says he can also help with fire if needed. Okay, so we can have like actual fire teams. Okay. All right, guys. Then I guess we'll go ahead and start with scenario 2. And then when you're done, just debrief amongst yourselves and then come on back to the Zoom whenever y'all are done, and we'll do the big group. debrief.
Hey, I just wanted to chime in. Let's make sure that we have a good, concise size up. And we also have demobilization on the radio, not just the chatter between each other as a debrief, but an actual demobilization on the radio. And let's assume that we're at safety side for the scenario. So you do have heavy equipment on site. You do have fire with some suppression capability on site. They don't have SCBA breathing air, so they cannot make entry into an involved structure. It is hot. We do have outside ambulance resource on site, and the medics can call in that resource if needed to the scene or to the HQ medic tent. It doesn't require special permissions to do that. They have one of our radios and will be listening to the traffic anyway.
Okay, sounds good.
Let's put Sweeney on A team with Blue Bonnet as fire.
So it's my understanding we're keeping the same team A and team B, just added new participants. Okay,
correct.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'm going to leave my speaker on so Gio can monitor, but everybody go ahead and turn down the speaker, the speakers on your computer so that we don't have echoing.
You are a radio.
Gio, I'm not going to be able to hear you if you need to reach me, and I'm not going to notice the group chat on Zoom, so I'm going to be over.
So I can just come in on your channel then and talk.
Yeah, butt in if you need to.
All right.
Copy that.
Radio check.
You're a radio. Radio check.
Confirm. All right, so we are resuming our scene. Just a reminder, we were had two rangers, Cane Toad and Nathan. Are we still trying to run with you as ranger on this one?
Storm's out working now.
Excellent. All right. Nathan and Cane Toad are walking down the road and notice a lot of smoke coming out of the windows of an RV about 20 feet away. You are not close enough to smell any smoke, but you see lots of it. The door of the RV is open, but there's a curtain across the opening. There is a neighbor, someone nearby, about 10 feet away from the RV, who's puttering around but does not seem aware of the smoke. Scene stop. Actors discuss.
Let's go ahead and approach the RV, and I want to look around and see if there's anything on either side of the RV, or if I see any light coming from behind the curtain.
You want to take command of the scene, and I shall check to the.
Roger that.
Okay, I'm unclear on what you've decided to do. Please reply again.
Nathan is taking command of the scene. He is checking the RV. I am going up to the participant and check to see if they know what's going on.
Roger that. I'm gonna go ahead and approach the smoking RV and look around on either side of it, see if I see anything.
All right, Nathan, as you walk around the RV, you don't see anything outside the RV on fire. It's not like from behind the RV or anything. It does seem to be a lot of smoke coming out of the open door behind the curtain. When Cane Toad, you talked to the neighbor, he had not noticed that there was anything going on, but he doesn't really know where the owner went. The neighbor is able to give you a description of the owner, but that's it. What do you do?
Nathan, I think we need to call in support here, especially if you've got that upset.
I'm gonna go ahead and call Khaki and let them know we got a smoking RV over here at next to the noise camp.
Copy that. Do you want me to set a perimeter?
Yeah, let's go ahead and set a perimeter. And let's also get a description out of the owner of this RV, and I'm gonna go ahead and knock on the door as well and see if I get a response.
Pause. Are we using radio protocol? Are we actually khaki practicing radio, or are we just doing talk about the situation?
When we're doing the scene stop, we will do just discussion, just back and forth. But when you are trying to tell Khaki something, you do need to say Khaki, and then your name, and then proceed after being acknowledged.
Roger that. Khaki, this is Nathan. We've got smoking RV.
Nathan, go for Khaki. Nathan, go for Khaki.
Yeah, looks like we've got a smoking RV over here by the sound camp. We're looking for a participant. I've got a description of him here.
Copy that. You need fire at an RV fire near a sound camp.
Roger that.
Fire, Khaki.
Go fire.
Fire, there's an RV fire near the sound camp. Please investigate.
That's clear. You got a fire at an RV near sound camp. Break. I need engine 1 to make a location at sound camp for a possible RV fire. We'll be en route to meet you there by the with the cart. Khaki, who's the command on location?
Fire. Nathan is the IC on location.
Clear, Nathan, IC on location. We'll be on location in 1 minute.
Nathan, Khaki.
Khaki, this is Nathan. Come in, over.
So fire department's headed over with an engine, and they should be there in about a minute. Could you please make sure there's no one in the RV without endangering yourself?
DM, do I have an update? Was there a response when I was knocking on the door?
The door was open, but you were able to knock on the wall of the RV. As you did so, nobody said anything. You didn't hear anything from inside. You didn't feel the RV move or anything. There was no indication that made you think there was definitely somebody inside, but you can't rule it out.
I want to go ahead and knock again, and I want to make sure that you know I'm knocking like I'm the police. Bang, bang, bang.
All right, you try that again, and still you don't notice or hear anything that makes you worried that there's definitely somebody inside. You can't rule it out, but you're not increasingly worried.
Can I get a scene check real quick and let me know if me or my other ranger see any flame or indication of fire other than the smoke?
Are you trying to smell the smoke, or are you just trying to see if it's coming your direction, or if you're seeing flames?
I want to smell and see if I smell like what I smell burning, like plastics or what sort of fire, if anything, and then also if I see any sort of light, sparks, flickering, anything like that from inside the RV.
All right, you do not see any flame or sparks from inside, but as you start sniffing a little closer, you start coughing and choking and really having problems breathing.
Sorry about conversation. We need to get to make ourselves safe and get to the perimeter. Also, the press part.
Copy that, King Toad. I'm going to go ahead and move away from the RV. Work with King Toad to start establishing the perimeter. Khaki, this is Nathan. Command over.
Nathan, go for Khaki.
Break, Khaki. Sorry, Nathan, you cannot talk. You're coughing too much.
Khaki, this is King Toad.
King Toad, go for Khaki.
I'll be in command of the scene. Because Nathan is indisposed. Now let's get medical set out for us smoke inhalation.
Copy that. Medical, Khaki.
Khaki, this is Raph on medical.
Medical, we need you at sound camp for smoke inhalation, ranger, a participant about male, 20 years of age.
Raph on medical, copy, taking oxygen and mask on the way to sound camp. No.
Khaki, that's fire.
Go for Khaki.
Khaki, show fire lead and injured one on scene. We do have smoke showing. We'll be out investigating. This time I need you to go ahead and have LLC actual alert offsite resources. We may have a possible entry requirement.
Copy that. Calling LLC now. LLC, Khaki.
Go for actual.
Actual, there's a RV fire over at Sound Camp, and our fire department has requested outside resources to fight it.
Khaki, actual acknowledges, and it's bringing or calling outside resources.
Khaki, King Toad.
Go for Khaki.
Also get another 6 rangers here to help set fire up, please.
Okay, Ted, we'll work on that. Can you grab some participants in the meanwhile?
Negative, which one faster?
Fire lead, command. Fire lead to command.
Command.
What's your location?
We're currently at Sound Camp, whatever the name is. Sorry, I missed it.
Negative. I need your location on the scene. I'm here as well. I need to find you. Over.
Copy that. In front of the main road.
Khaki, fire lead.
Go for khaki.
Yes, you do have one patient with smoke inhalation. Go ahead and get an advanced life support on location here at our scene. We do have heavy smoke continuing. We do need additional help to try to locate the owner of the RV to ascertain whether or not we have an occupant. At this time, still no flame showing. We do have heavy smoke.
Copy that. You need additional medical support and need help finding the owner of the RV.
Negative, I need advanced life support on location.
Okay, copy that. Need advanced life support on location.
Quick signature.
Advanced life support, khaki. LLC, khaki.
Go for actual.
The RV fire at Sound Camp, they need advanced life support. Please call in ambulance service.
Acknowledge, khaki. Calling in.
There's a request for a scene check. The smoke seems to be dying down maybe a little bit, but you can't tell if it might get worse later. I think we're pretty good with most of the things that I've wanted to see for this. So we're going to fast forward about 30 minutes. The perimeter has been maintained and established and maintained well. Ambulance is handling the smoke inhalation. Fire and external fire resources have safely managed the scene and are feeling like things are under control. The owner has been located and discussed and so forth. So let's move forward to how we're going to de-escalate this whole thing. Who has command?
Mango is still in command. No questions so far, still in sync?
Please repeat.
Operations to command.
Traffic command.
Command, we've completed a search and rescue. There are no occupants in the RV. The fire is under control. We'll be breaking down our equipment and getting ready to head back to quarters. Do you have any further orders for us?
Negative. Good job. When it's done, let me know.
It's clear. We'll let you know when we are returning to quarters.
Khaki, Cane Toad.
Go for Khaki.
Well, we'll be leaving the scene shortly. We are maintaining a perimeter with Rangers. Do you require us to maintain the perimeter for longer? Over.
Cane Toad, we may need some kind of cleanup after this fire is finished, and please maintain a perimeter for a little bit longer until we get someone to sign off on whatever kind of cleanup is needed.
Copy that. We'll let the Rangers know that we'll be here for a while longer. Out.
Operations Command.
Copy Command.
Command, I might suggest checking in on your logistics, see if you can get somebody from DPW over here. Maybe they can help you put up some caution tape, maybe other barricade. This time we're going to be headed back to quarters and returning to service. Operations clear.
Copy that.
Medical, this is medical for command, medical for command.
Copy Command.
Medical here, participant has been removed by the ambulance to the hospital. We'll be getting a report on him from his doctor. I'm clear here and returning to headquarters. Over.
Copy that. Medical leaving scene. Khaki, Cane Toad.
Go for Khaki.
Khaki, can I get DPW out to Sound Camp location to set a perimeter with a tape and cones, please?
Copy that. You need DPW out there. DPW, Khaki.
Go for DPW.
DPW, we had a fire that's been extinguished, but it's a hazardous situation still. Needs to be taped off, maybe some cleanup at Sound Camp.
All righty, we will send some folks over with some caution tape right away. DPW out. All right, this is DM. I am happy with this incident. Anything else as far as what we want to discuss on this?
Well, let me start with the end of the scenario. Let's make sure command does terminate command to Khaki. So we want to hear that on the radio. You can say that you're leaving the scene with DPW and Clovis. That was a good Clovis invitation, Apple. And that they're going to secure the scene with barricade, caution tape, and help the owner with some cleanup. But we definitely want to have that termination of command by the IC. That way, Khaki can close out the books on the scenario in their reporting of the incident.
Khaki, Cane Toad.
Go for Khaki.
DPW has secured the scene and has left the scene. I am again to relieve for return Rangers, and I am relieving myself of command. Over.
Got that, Cane Toad. Incident is closed.
Copy that. All rangers are accounted for and they are back under your command.
Thank you, Cane Toad.
You know, that's an excellent demobilization, termination command. You've got people back in service and all accounted for. That's your first responsibility. Make sure your people are safe. So you did a good job with that, getting that complete. So I'm going to go back to the beginning here and look at the size up. Did we do a concise and quick size up to khaki?
You asking khaki?
I was asking everyone on the call.
I had a technical issue for a moment. Can you repeat the question?
Did we do a good, concise size up of the incident? That's a question for everyone.
I felt like that we did, that we tried to assess what was going on scene initially. I'm not sure if we relayed enough information over to khaki. I would have initially alerted khaki before walking over to the RV the first time.
Yeah, our information, of course, you know, with these scenarios is always a little role playing and make believe, but you know, there was just a small amount of smoke. Yeah, someone could just be burning bacon and they open the door to let the smoke out. If you had a serious rolling black smoke still coming from there, I would have, my observation is I have an RV on fire at Sound Camp and I need the fire department to respond immediately. That would have been just a good enough size up right there. Other questions could be asked once they got on location.
Yeah, it's always.
So you had a medical reason to exchange command or commander who technically, in my opinion, should have been operations between the two rangers. The ranger on the road should have assumed command from a safe distance, and the other ranger was going to go investigate. But your person who chose to be command became incapacitated. So you had a medical reason. There was a good transition to khaki so that they have notes as who's in charge. However, once you establish command, you need to say where you're at so that all your operation folks arriving can find you and imagine that there's going to be spectators. It's going to be kind of hard to figure out who's in charge unless the command comes running up to the flashing lights and sirens. So make sure to establish that command and your location with khaki so everyone can find you. And until we can get a code orange vest on you. Would this been a code orange vest type of scenario? Maybe so. So that report could also be found out.
I think on the location, if there's a fire, you know where the smoke is, and that's where you go. You go to the smoke.
I'm not talking about the location of the incident, I'm talking about the location of the incident commander. So you want to make sure we know where the commander is located.
Should we have established a base, possibly?
Just when you get there and someone's going to take on command, just say I'm standing at the northeast corner or by the blue art card, whatever descriptive is obvious, so we can find you when we come to your aid for assistance. So just let us know where you're at. That's pretty simple. Want to move on to the fivefold path of ICS. So can we go through and answer those questions while we were talking to Khaki as far as command? Okay, so let's ask the first question. Is my scene safe?
I think that one was a little difficult to identify because by the time we realized it wasn't safe, it was too late.
Which is often the case.
There you go. So remember to use all your senses to make a decision about approaching the RV. If it just looks unsafe to you, then don't be a hero, because you're just going to be a dead hero. So answer that question. Am I scene safe? Not really, but I'm in a safe location where I'm at. All right, command, did we answer the question, what's going on? Okay, anybody answer that question? Did we answer the question, what's going on in our description to Khaki?
Seemed as if we did. They relayed that there was smoke and that they were seen.
I mean, I kind of heard them describe the scenario.
Trying to ascertain whether or not there was an occupant in there, so they were asking questions, and they were letting Khaki know they needed some help to do that. So it was unclear in the scenario whether or not we were going to find that person immediately outside the RV. So we were doing a search, and we were looking for the owner of the RV. So good job there. Next question, what do I have going on? Did we describe that well enough?
I think we called in the resources that we needed as soon as we realized that we needed them.
Yes, you did. Good job. You called in for fire. You obviously didn't have fire resources with you, so that's what you had. No fire resources, you called for it. I would have, just as a take precaution, also asked for medical to make location, just in case someone gets injured or something catastrophic happens. You've already got them there. If you don't need them, you can always send them back. But go ahead and call them. Just save a little time at the very beginning. Now the next question, what do I need? Did we do that right?
Maybe some respirators initially would have been helpful.
Okay, so we called for fire, and fire then called for outside resource. Once they made location, they confirmed that we still didn't know where the owner was. They might be inside. We do not carry breathing apparatus at safety side, just as a policy. So we would have had to wait for that outside resource. Again, if you'd had a flame showing on that RV, you probably would have initiated that sooner. Just, hard to do in a scenario again when you don't really know what you have. And then at the very end, we kind of think our way through this. I don't want my Rangers having to sit here all day because I need them working. So can side ops or DPW show up and help out and turn it over to them? So that part
here, what do I need? From the beginning to the end, that's what your job is incident command. Just kind of think your way through all of that, even though you're still actively working on the incident.
Sparky, to add to that, there were some things that they requested, like perimeter, which was established eventually by Rangers, I believe, and then outside of emergency services were later requested. I believe it was advanced.
That's correct. We did do a good job pulling in the things that we need. Again, just to let folks know, at the flip side, we hire a private contract advanced life support team. They're there on scene, and anyone can call their resource to the incident. It doesn't require actual, but it was okay. We got actual involved. It was just someone else might have been helping a little bit with the chaos. And they would have been involved anyway, probably, since it was a large enough incident to do that. So just know what your resources are when you go to your event and how to initiate those resources. And that's one of your first things to do when you arrive on location is see what's there, what's working, what's not working. So you don't know when your incident's going to drop. So be prepared.
Odin did point out in one of the chats that it is also important for actual to know when the advanced life support ambulance are going to be taken off site, because that's one resource that is then not available to the rest of the event until they get back from town.
Hey, this is Hard Knocks, Sharon. I'm thinking about that. We often use that ambulance service as just a transport to off-site medical. But if there are critical life support provider, we've shot ourselves in the foot with a transport.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's one of the reasons why if you had your medical on scene early, we would have known about our smoke inhalation patient early. They would have kick-started that process and start making preparations for not having the contractor on site and thus having to use other communication channels to get the county there. You also, as a side note, not related to this incident, but you do want to use that advanced life support wisely. So if someone just got a minor boo-boo, like a twisted ankle, your medic team may want to work to try to get a participant to drive them if it's not life-threatening into town to get that taken care of instead of sending your one and only ambulance away. Because God forbid the next call is a heart attack and you needed that resource right away. So your medical team will be a lot of help to you in making that decision. So don't worry about that if you're not trained on that aspect. That's what they're there for, is to help you as a commander.
We are being called to come back to the Zoom meeting. I think Gio wants to do a brief wrap up before lunch.
Just want to say a good job, everyone. I know these are new to people, and this is where we want to learn and make mistakes. So no one made a mistake. Everyone learned, and that's the win here. Good job.
Great job, guys.
Okay, both groups are just about, I think the other group's just about wrapped up as well. So give them just a minute to come on.
Geo, Apple.
Yes.
Channel A is back on Zoom, Palm.
Copy. Channel B is just about done with their debrief.
We ascertained that we're not going to let Sparky cook bacon in his RV because he cooked too much of it.
I was reminded of a flip side a couple of years ago, and someone had an RV on Effigy Field or near the Effigy, and decided they were going to literally burn their steaks, and the grill was shooting flames up 4 feet in the air while the steaks grease was burning off, and someone called it in. We had fire already starting their procedures for the effigy burn, and meanwhile they're called in to go, basically put out an RV fire, but it's really steaks on a grill right next to the RV.
That's why it's important to get a good scene size up.
I think we called it in from HQ. We were like, oh my God, there's flames at that RV way over there. It looked like the RV was on fire in our defense. It really did. But yeah, wow. You guys mobilized like lightning.
Hey, Cat Snakes, you're on mute if you're talking to us.
Yeah, Apple, we do have a history of creating incidences during burn nights for some reason. We've had major lightning storms blow through that wreck plant, trees falling, other fires, crazy runners.
Well, at least, if it's gonna go wrong, it's gonna go wrong big. That's part of why we're always trying to get people to work later in the event. If you are trying to look at the schedule and trying to figure out when you're going to party and when you're going to work, please take a shift later in the event. A lot of people like to try to get it out of their work out of the way first so they can party later. But man, if you want to tell good stories, there's always stuff happening, like fun stuff to be involved with later in the event. That's when we're like, oh, thank you. Here's an extra patch.
Hey, on the Team B, we one thing I didn't do, I had a mental note to do it, and then we took a break from the scenario to have our DM talk a little bit about what was going on. So I forgot to come back to it, but we would have normally described the RV type to khaki. So the Class A and Class C, that can make a difference about whether or not there's large amounts of propane stored on board or potential amount of occupants. They go up from 1 or 2 to 6 or whatever size your orgy is. Those kinds of information help as well when given the scene size up. The other thing that we haven't discussed is many times when a major incident blows up, CACI will assign us a channel. So we'll have our own TAC channel. And that way we're not doing all this chatter over the main channel. So other things that are going on during the event can still communicate. So we would move to a TAC channel, and then CACI would assign another person, the assistant CACI or a ranger of the day or whoever is there at HQ to help monitor those channels. Also note take, because there's now a lot of traffic going on. So we're writing notes and times given. So that's important. And one incident type that is really important about times is if we have CPR in progress. So if we're having to perform CPR, we want to record times when things are happening so that the advanced life support and the medical facilities would know when did things start and what steps were taken during that process. So make sure your event has someone there to help the CACI write down a lot of notes, because all of a sudden the CACI is this air traffic controller in New York with 1,000 airplanes trying to land at once. Makes life a lot easier if they have some help.
During the Channel B discussion, Sparky mentioned the Code Orange Vest. Is that something that was discussed at all during this weekend's training?
We didn't go to the detail of it. We just mentioned it, that it's a resource or tool and basically what's inside. We're going to share with everybody the content of that tub, and also the if this, then this write-up that we have on our emergency plan. That's also in that tub. So that's as far as we went with Code Orange Vest. I see Safety is getting out his Code Orange Vest there.
Nice.
Brought his own.
Nice. Yeah, so Code Orange Vest is a shorthand which we encourage, ICS encourages us not to use, is weird codes and phrases and stuff. But it is
people
one
aren't
that,
familiar with it.
Yeah, it basically is we are going to require a multi-departmental response, and we want representatives from each of the on-duty departments to get ready to send at least one team member, probably somebody with good experience to this location.
Oh shit, bring everything.
Well, yeah, but sometimes we don't want it all on scene. So, but people should mobilize to be ready to be called from their department HQ.
And we have a tub.
Put your shoes on.
Yeah, we have a tub that we call the ICS box, and we put all kinds of stuff in it that we might need for a big, large scale emergency, like a bunch of safety vests and triage cards and lights, helmets. It's an interesting array of things. But yeah, so we always, usually at our other safety sides, we have actually pulled out our tubs and sometimes we compare notes as to what each event puts in their tubs, but it's basically in case of emergency, break glass. Here's our tub.
I actually have a copy of what is in Flipside's ICS box, and I have it pulled up on my computer because Apple sent it to me a few years ago to laminate for them. If you'll want to see that.
Yes. Quick finger, are you guys done?
Yes.
Nodding.
We kind of cut it short in the interest of time, but yeah.
Okay, thanks. I know it's hard to stuff everything in unlimited time. Okay.
Screen share.
While I've got you on, Quick Finger, go ahead and share out about what happened in your group.
It moved a little bit slower than I would have thought. The Rangers, I think, were a little freaked out when they saw the smoke. Like, okay, like, what do we do? Well, let's investigate the scene and make sure that this is a real incident before we start calling in the cavalry, right? When I would have liked to have seen them start with a perimeter. Like, okay, there's smoke coming from an RV. Let's keep everybody away from this. When fire team arrived, the transfer of incident command wasn't very clear. And a lot of that was just part of the confusion around using radios as opposed to face-to-face, right? If this had been a face-to-face, it would have been a lot easier to say, yes, you guys want command and have it, But talking on the radios, it was kind of weird. Let me look at my notes here.
Yeah, so much like real life, there were comm issues.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. It seemed there were more this time than in the previous scenario. We had lots of comm issues in this one. Like I noticed in the chat, they talked about medical self-activating. We had that too. Like medical's they're listening to what's going on. It's we're on the way even before they were called. So I mentioned that it's normally you wait, wait until you're activated. Like if you hear something's going on and you want to walk out to the scene, but just don't get in the way until they call you in, right? So it's great to have you standing 10 feet away. So when they call you and you're needed, it's you're right there. But it can be confusing when people just start showing up, right? And before they're requested. And it was great that the medical was aware of that yeah, we're going to be needed. Just listening to this even before the Rangers realized it, I said we just did our debrief in the chat too. I'm trying to remember what else we talked about.
There was one other thing that I noticed in ours, and I didn't go to either of the ICS trainings, and I don't know the actual backgrounds of what people normally do, but people were kind of making assessments that weren't in the fire team, and saying someone had said, oh, it was a fire started by candles. I don't know that's necessarily if we would need XYZ resource. I don't know specifically, but that's where it's what type of fire extinguisher could be used. It's really relevant to know it was started by candles versus it's an electrical fire versus it's a grease fire. So making sure that the appropriate team is getting the appropriate information. And that's where it's maybe emphasizing if you get information on what caused the fire, making sure fire team does know that. So appropriate resources. That was the one that stood out to me, which is why this is a really good learning exercise, just to be aware of kind of some departments are there's overlap in what the different departments can do, but then other things are really specialized.
Chime in on that.
Go ahead, Sweeney.
Yeah, I think, fire had arrived on scene, and I think there was a sense of we were, and I probably exaggerated this, of hanging out, waiting to be told what to do, but really actually the information that I was looking for was what has been done so far? Where are we at? What's the situation? What information can you give me about the scene while I do my scene size up? And that I think got lost in a lot of radio chatter.
Quick figure, I just wanted to go back to that chaos at command location question. When your extra help shows up, again, someone can start taking on roles, just not show up. Extra Rangers might get there that could take on a logistics role. Remember, our CFLOPs are command, logistics, finance, operations, and planning, right? So we refer to the Code Orange vest. That's what's written on all of the vests, those positions. Well, one thing that your planning person who says, hey, I'll take on planning, they can be that buffer for command, even be assistant command. So when you got all these people coming up, you know, oh my God, what do I do? I'm here to help. And you're trying to listen to the operations say, hey, we're doing a search and rescue. I need some help. You can have that buffer position set aside. So in a formal scenario, that's what will happen. There may be an assistant incident commander who's capable of all the resources arriving, and then that way command can stay focused on the big picture.
In an orange vest situation where you've called for multi-department response, this is why we, at Flipside at least, we generally have the department lead for Rangers, Sanctuary, Medical, Fire, etc., respond to the site so that they can step in and start saying, you know, my team has, back at HQ, we've got this many people ready if we need them, and they're ready to be called to our site, or they can be sent elsewhere to find owners or, you know, clear traffic or whatever. And the ranger lead, for example, in my case, could step in and say, it looks like you need command. It looks like you need help with this or this. Would you like me to take on that, or find someone to be assigned to do that? And so that's part of why in a big incident, the department leads often are called to jump in and go to the scene without having to be called one by one by command. They just say code orange vest or whatever your department code would be. In the case where self-deployment does happen, if we've got, say, medical that's listening to the call and says, oh man, that's an RV fire, they're going to need me there. What ICS in our situation would be, the recommended protocol would be for medical to say, Khaki, we heard the call about that. We recommend, we have a team available and are concerned about possible smoke inhalation and would like to go to the scene. Is that, you know, want to check in with command and confirm that they will welcome us or whatever. Honestly, they're probably not going to turn you down, but it's good for them to know that you're coming.
Yeah, and for those of you that are leads of those types of departments, you may have to help that IC, that dirt ranger out there, because they're not thinking medical, they're thinking fire. During the tree collapse at Flipside, I called in a Sanctuary because we had participants who were upset about what was going on, concerned about A, their personal belongings, and B, significant other that was possibly under the tree. And I didn't have the bandwidth as command to try to deal with this panicked person. So I called in Sanctuary and advised them when they arrived on location and reported to me that, hey, we have some folks over here that may need some of your assistance to help them. And they went as far as helping them, you know, find other tents and stuff like that to sleep in that got crushed. So they became a valuable resource. Like in the real life world, we call in the American Red Cross, and they assist people who, you know, suffering from the disaster. And the fire department doesn't have to put our resources at that. So think about all your tools in the toolbox. You know, it's all there for you. And that's how you can utilize the code orange vest, or at least the concept of what it has. If this, then this. Kind of practice studying that stuff.
Okay, Apple, you want to talk a little bit about your group? How did you guys handle the same scenario?
The perimeter was established pretty quickly. They did knock on the wall of the RV to try to confirm there was nobody in it. Then knocked harder when there was no response. When they didn't see any response or any warning indicators that yeah, we really think there probably is somebody in there, the response was, well, I'm going to sniff and try to see if I can tell whether it's bacon or pot or whatever. And they then started coughing and quickly became unable to even communicate on the radio. The ranger partner stepped in and assumed command and briefed Khaki very rapidly that command was transferred. When fire arrived at the scene, they were able to, they told Khaki right away that yes, we are on scene, but they did not know the location of where on site the command was located. And so their precious moments were lost because command did not say, Khaki, I am at the big tree or right next to the road or whatever, next to the giant teeter-totter or whatever landmark at whatever safe distance they'd established. And so when you are transferring command, Sparky pointed this out, and when you're communicating your command to Khaki and to any incoming resources, we want to make sure that you tell them where you personally are located. The size up to Khaki was pretty good as far as the scene size up and safety. Let's see, what else am I forgetting? Sparky?
So I went through and just reminded us about the fivefold path of ICS. Again, think of that resource or tool to help you as incident command, do what you need to do there. We also had a little discussion of making sure that everyone knows where the commander is standing, and command, you stay there. Remember I said you may be drawn towards, in my presentation yesterday, you may be drawn towards taking on a task, a job, like going in, and instead you get back and be the tactical manager. It's real hard to, thank you, Chairman. It's real hard to remember that because we all have the desire to help and we're doers, right? So we all want to go do things, but you have to remember this is such a situation, rather, you need the help to know how to be effective. And the only way that's going to happen is if you step back and you're in a safe location, you got eyes on everything. So remember to tell Khaki, this is Sparky, I'm in command and I'm standing at the northwest corner of the incident. Recommendation I have for all the regionals, when you make your site maps, make a separate site map with a grid. And so you have your A and your number or your alphabet and your number grid, because a lot of people aren't going to know where is sound camp. We use that as our example of the location of the incident. Well, we got 20 sound camps, right? So which one? And I honestly, all the years I've gone to Flipside, I never memorized where whatever camp is where. I hate you people that do know, like, oh yeah, French camp's right over here. And I have no clue where the hell that's at. So when you're in this safety situation, it's better to give out that grid coordinate, and it puts your responding team in that proximity. So Khaki, you would want to make sure that you, if your command or your IC doesn't relay that to you, then Khaki, you need to relay that to all the other units and say, let's go to, A5, the sound camp that's located there. So utilize that tool, but let's let everyone know where command's at. So the responding resources go to that location. I brought that up as a point in our scenario so that I was trying to get the command to let me know where he was standing, because I need all that information that Sweeney was talking about. What's happening out there, and I want to kind of know what's gone on so far. Like, hey, yeah, we removed all the gas cans and fuel away from that RV. You know, that had been one of our first tasks as a fire team, if it hadn't already been done, is get all that damn fuel. Because think about it, we're a bunch of pyros, and we carry a bunch of white fuel, gasoline, propane, and some of these camps got very large quantities of that shit. So, you know, we can't go in there and save the RV with the resources that our fire teams have at these regional events, but we can try to protect other property. So that is one of the things that we train on, is protecting the surrounding property. So your perimeter is important, and those hazards within that perimeter are important, just as important as the RV going in itself. I do want to raise one last thing about the RV scenario. Did either one of the groups think about carbon monoxide poisoning? So smoke in an RV, pretty good indication. Even with that door open, there could be a heavy load of carbon monoxide. So we don't want to stick our noses in that stuff. Even as a firefighter, I don't go into anything burning without having on my SCBA, because a good whiff of that stuff will screw you up. So let's all use our senses, and eyes and ears are just as important as the nose. And take a step back, don't stick your nose in it. Be careful and cautious if you're going to approach that RV. They are a disaster waiting to happen. I have responded to more carbon monoxide calls, poisoning calls at Burning Man than I have actual fires. So when I go to an RV, you know, we get called out on something there, and we have found people passed out, or, you know, really sick, and they don't realize it. They're just in there breathing that stuff. So be careful.